Well, you've heard of pothole patrols, right? We've got the solution. I wish someone would pay attention. You should tonight. Don't go anywhere. Welcome into My State of Mind. I am Dan Yorke. It is an honor every night to have you here, and we've got a lot going on. The one and only Carl Waddenston, who owns Vibeco Vibrators in Wyoming, also the only member of the Economic Development Commission who actually, or corporation as it was called back then, who said no on the 38 Studios debacle with Kurt Schilling et al. I don't have time to talk about that tonight because we're going to try to solve the pothole problem and alert to every city hall mayor, DPW person, counselor. You need to understand that there's equipment out there ready to be lent to you to fix potholes in a much more efficient way than we're getting done right now. And we'll tell you all about that in our guest segment. But first, let us go to the rundown. Honest to goodness, that's the honest to God and the truth. I have never seen anything like what I saw this morning, and many people did as well. This continues to slowly grind at everybody from the White House point of view. They were in our backyard yesterday to talk about it. And only a couple other things on the rundown tonight because I want to spend time on potholes. Sanctions, we'll discuss. And this, but there's a silver lining. There's a silver lining to that, and we'll talk about it. Okay, let's go. First item, let's dig in, really. So I'm going to work today, and I live in Cumberland, so I'm taking 295 down to 146, and as soon as I get on to 146, I see this stream of police officers, and I'm on the phone with my radio producer, Tyler from WPRO. And, we're chatting like we always do. I'm on the Bluetooth, and I'm noticing all these, and all of a sudden I said to him, I said, did I miss some major newsmaker dying? I mean, look at all these lights, fire engines, police cars. Here's the headline. First responders come in droves for sick boy's birthday. I had forgotten about Tyler Seddon. It's so funny because I knew he was on my plan for discussion, but I didn't put two and two together until you see some of this. This is incredible. We've got what we call in the business B-roll. There's young Tyler becoming the honorary police chief in Burrillville. He's battling leukemia for the second time and needs bone marrow help and all sorts of things going on. And his mom, I guess, is a volunteer firefighter. So she puts out a little party invitation to try to generate some action for him financially. And through social media and the rest of the world and everything else, honest to goodness, they had over 1,000 people at Wright's Farm Restaurant today. And if you were driving by that kind of traffic, you were mesmerized. People were pulling off the highways to watch this line of lights come. And here's some of the event. And our audio is a little low there because we're just trying to show you the pictures. But look at the scene at Wright's Farm. Just amazing. I can't believe that they nearly got all the vehicles into that massive parking lot that they have. I talked to Frankie Galashaw, who's an old acquaintance of mine who owns Wright's Farm, and put him on the radio on WPRO weekdays noon to 3, and I asked him, what was it like to host this thing?
I just think I was very fortunate that, I was able to be here and to be able to supply a facility for a town and fortunate enough for all these policemen, firemen, and military to come here and enjoy this day with him. And that's the greatest thing about it. It was just an outpouring of love for this young man.
Yeah, this little guy probably can't even digest what happened. He looked a little starstruck, I'm told, by the reporters who were there. It's really an incredible outpouring. Look, I know it's one of their own. Volunteer firefighter, this kind of response, it gets maybe a little out of hand for some. We had people calling the radio show today saying, oh my gosh, what about the taxpayer dollars, using public assets? What about the kids that don't have these parties? Yeah. You know what? Lightning in a bottle, beautiful moment. Soak it up and know that the spirituality of this whole thing is not just for one little guy, it's for every kid that's battling cancer, and might give some others some great ideas on how they can, motivate and pull them through those kinds of things and raise some dough. I am completely bullish on this thing. I thought it was a wonderful thing, and if you drove by it, it's something you'll never forget. Prayers for Tyler, and hopefully he gets a match. A lot of kids battle, and they have a lot of courage. All right, let's move on real quickly. Really? All right, so we got a headline on this, right? It just, I know, this is his big thing. He's got nothing else to do right now, the president, unless, the $10.10. I know, we get it, right? He came into Connecticut yesterday. And of course, our governor is the first one to try to, shake his hand off the plane, as starstruck as he is. He just wants a gig. Mr. President, can you just hire him? If you hire him now, we could clear the deck a little early before the election. Get Liz Roberts in there, Lieutenant Governor, tidy up the desk, and we can start fresh. But anyway, Malloy, Patrick, Chafee, all down there, the respective governors. And of course, the president's on a tear here. Fox News starts to report on the latest episode of Begging for 1010.
It's time to give America a raise.
President Obama hit the road to promote his economic agenda in Connecticut. The president is calling on Congress to raise the federal minimum wage to $10.10 an hour, up from $7.25.
It doesn't require new taxes, doesn't require new spending, doesn't require some new bureaucracy.
This year, the president has been focusing on income inequality. His proposed budget for 2015 will raise taxes on the rich and give tax breaks to the poor and middle class.
And so, we'll end the package there because it's just too much. First of all, Mr. President, it does require new taxes. You know why? Because guess what? If an employer has to pay more payroll, then they pay more tax on the payroll. That's number one. Number two, I know 3 out of 4 Americans say thumbs up to minimum wage, but when you ask them about the circumstances that surround it, they start to weigh, they move off that pole. Look, this is a comprehensive conversation we need on income in America. Corporate America gets away with murder here too, by the way, because they rely on minimum wage employees to be able to be on the public dole to subsidize the stuff that they no longer supply. There's a bigger conversation that we need to have about how people earn in this country without controlling it in some kind of socialized fashion. This is simply a pinprick in the entire dynamic of it. And, it's 10:10 today and 11:10 tomorrow. We never solve the problem. All right, lastly, is it lastly? No, still, the president on Ukraine. One more item before we go to lastly. Yeah, this is getting sticky, right? Sanctions to impose a cost on Russia. The president talked about this today in broad terms.
Any discussion about the future of Ukraine must include the legitimate government of Ukraine. In 2014, we are well beyond the days when borders can be redrawn over the heads of democratic leaders. While we take these steps, I want to be clear that there is also a way to resolve this crisis that respects the interests of the Russian Federation, as well as the Ukrainian people.
Look, it's going to take a summit. It's going to take the president and Vladimir Putin to get together and their staffs. They're going to have to break bread and talk this thing over. The sanctions that America is now putting on Russia from our own point of view, it's on bank accounts, and it goes after individuals who support the Russian effort infiltrating Ukraine. Yeah, how are they going to track that? We can't even follow the IRS around here. So when it comes to international sanction, that might have a better impact, or but listen, this is going to need a conversation, and the president's not that good at that, but he better fast. But you know what? Putin's on the wrong end of this one. He knows it. Time will run out on him. More as it goes each day. And finally, on the basketball scene, this has a lot of the sports folks, like, what? Oh, can you believe it? We have a little bit of footage from last night. Bryant lost to St. Francis, which barely got into the Northeast Conference tournament. Bryant has a home game here, and a lot of folks thought that they could win the league and go to the show, the NCAA tournament. But I want you to see something there. You can see as you're watching the video, you can watch the crowd. 2 years ago, you could hear a pin drop in that gym. And while Bryant is disappointed and their seniors are disappointed that they lost, they were beaten in an upset. When's the last time Bryant University on a Division I level was beaten in an upset? Never. So the mark of a program is not always how you win, but how you lose. They've done great. Right now, we have Bryant and Brown who win most of the time. We've got URI that's is about to surge into the Atlantic 10. And we've got Cooley, who I think, with the Marquette crazy victory the other night, put him in the show. Basketball is good here all the way around, and we ought to celebrate it. It's fun. All right, speaking of fun, my guest says it's fun to fill in potholes, but he's a strange bird. You'll meet him when we come back. Stay with us. Well, they say it's the toughest pothole season we've ever had. I don't know if that's true. You know, every time you're in the moment, it's the toughest moment you've ever had. But there's a solution to at least extending the life of the pothole fix that happens from time to time randomly from one town or one state agency to the next. Here's a little video that... By the way, who chooses your music?
We have to buy non-copyrighted music.
Yeah, well, obviously. I mean, it's like, good lordy Lou. The video's pretty tight, but the music's a little tough. I got to tell you. Vibeco and the DOT. Here's how you fill in a pothole. Clean it first. Da-da-da. Where's the machine? Don't you know you got to get your product up quicker if you want to sell something?
This was rush hour at 8 a.m.
The cleaner, the
2009.
better.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 the cold. There's the machine, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Kev, come on back to me. Then we'll. Carl Waddington is my guest. How are you, brother?
Good. Good.
We'll remind everybody you're the only guy in the EDC that voted no on 38 Studios, because I always remind everybody about that, because it brings you the credibility that you so desperately deserve. And you've been reappointed to that economic commission.
For a 4-year term.
What do we call that thing now? The
Rhode Island Commerce Commission.
Yeah, that thing.
Rhode Island Commerce Commission.
All right. So the other day, you call the radio show and you say, hey, listen, as we're lamenting the potholes from neighborhood to neighborhood, you say, hey, listen, there's a better way to handle this. And actually, this afternoon, you were on the radio show as well, and we took an extended time for conversation to talk about it. But I transferred all that radio audience, hopefully, here to the TV tonight so that we could see the machine. That's the machine.
Yes.
What does the machine do?
The machine actually vibrates the material, so you have aggregate particles that are in that emulsified cold patch and sand, and then the binding agent, and it aligns them so it's packed hard and tight in that hole, so it just won't spit up again out of the hole.
Right.
It's vibratory force, compaction.
The Vibeco makes vibrating equipment, manufacturing vibrating equipment.
Correct.
And you have hundreds, thousands of these products in market right now.
Thousands of them. New York City was one of the first cities to buy this, and I think they bought 90 machines, and that was during Giuliani's term. We were actually on the front of the on the Daily News. You know, His Honor, they call him His Honor, fixing the holes in downtown Manhattan, and they've been successful. They've been successful.
Okay, what it does, we're going to talk about the business dynamics of this. By the way, we're not doing an infomercial here. He
No.
He doesn't want any money from anybody,
No,
right?
no.
At least here.
Correct.
The vibrating equipment and this triage for potholes on any given public road, you say extends what is the clean and fill or dump and fill,
Throw and go,
whatever it is.
Yeah, drive over them.
It does it because
you get this compaction and alignment. You can put more material in the hole. It doesn't resink in the hole. It gets nice and smooth. You don't get the dog dish, this impression. Right. Because it sinks in. And then the guys get overzealous and put a lot of material in there and you get a hump. But remember, every time the wheel hits a depression on the opposite side of that curved end, it's trying to spit the material out. And on a turtle end, your wheel hits that and wants to spit the material out again.
You can extend the life of the DPW crew's work, throwing and going by how much?
4 to 5 times. That video that everybody saw, Dan, was filmed Valentine's Day 2009, and that hole is still fixed today on that viaduct. And how many times did you hit holes on that viaduct on Route 95 in front of the malls? There's hundreds of them. Our patch is still there. We had it tagged.
What'd you do, one?
One. We did one.
Would you get a nosebleed? You
No,
could only do one?
Everybody got tired and we went home. No, we did one because they wanted to see the demo of the machine. We showed them the machine. And I think we may have even actually left the machine with them. I've forgotten now. It's 5 years ago, Dan.
You just leave your machines behind and forget that you
We want to
did it?
see Rhode Island a better place.
No, you did. You donated the machine to the DOT.
Yeah, we donated it to
You
them.
don't know, you didn't track, you haven't heard from them as to
No,
whether
we
or
haven't
not
heard
they've
it.
used it?
We haven't heard from them.
But you got meetings coming up with
Correct.
Rhode Island Turnpike and Bridge Authority. In fact,
Right.
I got an email after you left the radio today from Dave Darlington, who heads up the authority, that
Right.
you're not going to be on the top of the bridge, by the way.
We're going to be at the entrances.
Yeah, the pavement that needs to be fixed is at the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
The bridge is concrete.
You were the one that said we're going to be on the top.
Yeah, because you say bridge and my knees start to wobble. But there's a message here, and that is you're trying to reach out to state and municipal officials and lend them a helping hand, right?
You bet.
All right.
If we
Hold
can
your
take
thought.
care.
It's okay. Hold your thought. we'll talk about the effort to lend a helping hand, which seems to be falling on deaf ears. Stay with us. I am cracking up. I am cracking up over the music, but it actually is a pretty good description of what goes on out there. This is what everybody sees everywhere while they're driving around. This part of the DPW effort with potholes, but they don't see a lot of the use of this equipment. And again, this is a product.
Look how far that material sinks into that hole. Did you see that?
Yeah. I was going to say fascinating, but I can't tell you that I'm fascinated by it. I just don't want to bump into it anymore, that's all. And so there's your promotional video, but here, let's be clear. Carl Wattenston runs Vibeco, very, very, very nice mid-large
we're
business.
mid-size.
You're a
We're
mid-sized
mid-size,
business.
yeah.
You employ how many people down there?
About 100 of
Yeah,
us.
so that's a substantial business. While you market these things in your conventions, you're doing your thing all the time,
Right.
like any manufacturer would, you have said, look, I'll give it to Providence for nothing. I'll give it to Cranston for nothing. X, blah, blah, blah. One of these machines goes for what, $1,500 a piece?
$1,500, yeah.
So you'd like to spread a handful of this product out to the public works folks, highway folks in these towns so that we can what?
Number one, you know that I've always thought of our state, and people say you have to nurture your state. Well, we make a piece of equipment that will change every citizen's life here. And if I can give it to our state and have raving fans with our DOT municipality workers, don't you think that resonates to the bigger markets? That we can sell more machines and we're taking care of our own state? Why do you really need to monopolize and make money on your own state when there's a bigger world out there? If we were Texas or New York, I wouldn't in a million years do this. Rhode Island, we're a small community. We need help. And you know my time, I donate a lot of my time to the Rhode Island Commerce Commission and do tours. Let people come in and see what we're doing for operational excellence.
Yeah, well, you're big on the lean technology.
Lean, big lean.
And how many tours do you think you've done at the company?
6,000 in 3.5 years. 6,000 tours, 6,000 people.
Are you exaggerating?
No, I'm dead serious. In 3.5 years. Start figuring that out. 672 different companies to the tune of, I think we figured it out, it was $3.1 trillion of enterprise zone. Think about when you have GE locomotive come.
Yeah. Well, if there's anybody left that hasn't taken the tour, I feel like this is Disney. Everyone's been there once, but you know, I've taken the tour, and it does teach you a lot, not only about how to run a company, but how to run your life a little bit, because there are little things that you can do to make things more efficient. But government doesn't seem to want to buy into what, private sector America is urging themselves to do all the time.
They're doing it in states all around us. And you know that I'm just persistent as hell. That's why I'm trying to give our machines out, trying to give back to the community, trying to teach, trying to change the mentality of people. We hear you on the radio all the time. What's Rhode Island's one big thing? What can we do? Let's be pothole free in this whole state. Let's be the state that has no potholes. And for the guys that say, what are we going to do? We're going to get ourselves out of a job? No, there's so many other things that they can do in their
Listen for a second. The viewer is saying, you know what? The union guys, they don't want this equipment because they like to throw and go and mess around. I'm not ready to beat up on public works employees. I mean, they got to be used for, they're taxpayers too. They drive cars.
Of course.
Why wouldn't they embrace this?
Of course. And there's so many better things. Do you want to stand on Route 95 or a major thoroughfare? You're risking your life when you can repair it, have it there once, and move on and do something else.
Oh, well, here's the thing.
Yes.
We can't play passive-aggressive here. You've been on the show twice now. You're talking about this. Are you going to go knock on a couple of mayoral doors? I don't know. Listen, Angel Tavares, Earth to Angel. Maybe you should like uncloak yourself from the 6 or 7 people that follow you around all over the place, telling you when you can go to the bathroom, and actually respond to what's going on here. You had a press event the other day when you said it's the worst pothole city you've ever seen, so why don't you do something, no charge or little charge in terms of training.
And that's a great leadership thing for him to show that he cares
I heard
about
he was
the
running
people.
for governor.
He is running for governor. If Mayor Giuliani, former Mayor Giuliani, can go out and fix potholes with me, I'd hope that I'd be good enough for Angel.
You're name dropping now.
What? Mayor Giuliani?
Yeah.
Oh, did I say
You
that?
have any good Democrats? Because that's the only thing anybody responds to around
I'm
here.
sorry.
All right, bottom line, go knock on their doors, will you?
I will.
There's a lot of people out there that want to see the potholes fixed.
Yep.
Give me a minute on that leadership poll the other day.
Leadership Rhode Island?
No. Well, the Leadership Rhode Island is something you were at today.
Today.
Yeah, they got a nice little gig going.
And which
I was
leadership
talking
poll?
about the poll. I was talking about the People's Poll that the Hasenfeld Institute had that said that there's no faith in the leadership in the state.
There is
right
none.
now.
There is none. I just came from my own leadership conference in LA, and people are not authentic anymore. You're talking about it now. We need authenticism. We need someone that we can emotionally connect to, somebody that cares about us. Do you feel that anybody running for this gubernatorial race really cares about any one of us? Have you felt that? And I'm putting you on the spot.
In moments.
In moments.
Politics changes the way people approach public service.
And that's tragic.
We'll see. All right, would you please get this machine in the market here, please?
Yes.
Good job.
Thank you.
Your state of mind when we come back. Stay with us. Really, mayors, would you contact Carl and get some potholes fixed for us? By the way, I mentioned all those great basketball teams. I forgot that tonight Rhode Island College is in the NCAA Division III first round. So it is big basketball around here. I made a mental note to myself. My buddy Bob Walsh will not be happy with me. Hey, listen, your state of mind, we need to hear from you. 228-1886 is the number. Just leave a voicemail. You can email me at that address, stateofmind@myritv.com, or tweet or Facebook post at me. This particular piece of feedback from last night was in response to my guest, who is Deborah Schimberg. She's heading up that new commission that the City of Providence has to try to figure out swimming in general in the City of Providence and that Davy Loops pool. Here's what one listener had to say, viewer, I should say.
Very, very important. As you see, all these young kids out here getting either shot or killed because they have nothing to do and nowhere to go. So please, I beg of you to continue to support trying to get this pool and recreation center up to full and keep it going 100%.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. You know, we're going to do everything we can to make that thing work. Listen, we'll see you tomorrow on the radio at noon and here at 7:30 on MyRI TV tomorrow night. Good night.